Good afternoon and welcome to Match of the Day for the Milk Cup Final 1983 between Liverpool, the team of the last decade and chasing a hat-trick of wins in this competition, and Manchester United with a glorious, less recent history but a burning ambition to reproduce those halcyon days. For the fanatical support of their fans alone, a neutral would surely select this game as the perfect cup final. Your commentator, John Watson.
The two best supported clubs in the country contest the season's first major domestic prize. The fans have parted with over £1 million to see whether Liverpool can become the first club to win this competition 3 years running, or whether Manchester United can win just their second important trophy since 1968. A barren spell broken only by their FA Cup triumph here 6 years ago against Liverpool. Bob Paisley has brought Liverpool to Wembley for the 11th time in the last 7 seasons, but this looks like being his last visit as a manager, while Manchester United's Ron Atkinson, on the far side, is experiencing this walk for the very first time. A lovely afternoon at Wembley. There's a slight breeze, but the sun doing its best to come out, and it's certainly a dry and clear day, which has brought the fans, as usual, a capacity crowd, the fans down to Wembley to follow two of the country's greatest clubs. Liverpool play their expected side. The only man not to have played at Wembley before is number 10, Craig Johnston, and the substitute is David Fairclough, because David Hodgson has flu. For Manchester United, number 5, Kevin Moran, plays despite a depressed fracture of the cheekbone. He actually played Gaelic football at Wembley 7 years ago, but there are 3 players who've not played here before. 17-year-old Norman Whiteside at number 10, right back Mike Duxbury, and also number 4, Remy Moses. And in the absence of Brian Robson, a lot depends as captain and competitor on number 7, Ray Wilkins. 6 years ago, when these two clubs met in the FA Cup final here, Bruce Grobbelaar was playing in South Africa, and up against him in the same match was Gary Bailey. They've come an awful long way since then. Bob Paisley, unpretentious as always, whereas his more extrovert counterpart, Ron Atkinson, will be determined to enjoy the day just as much. Indeed, already the jokes flying there on the United bench. The referee, George Courtney of Spennymoor, took charge of the 1980 FA Cup final here between Arsenal and West Ham. The colours are the reverse of the 1977 final. United today in white, playing from the left, and Liverpool in their familiar red. Manchester United have lost only one of their last 17 games. Here's Stapleton. And as United gain the first free kick, Gordon McQueen and Kevin Moran have made their way onto the edge of the penalty area, which is where they could be so dangerous. McQueen gets up and it ran on to Steve Coppell. But the feeling in the United team, as Coppell had the final shot, is that the presence at set plays of the 2 tall central defenders, especially Gordon McQueen, could unsettle Liverpool. Moran was forward also. Nice bright day, the pitch softened slightly by rain which has fallen over the last 48 hours, although Liverpool felt if it had had a bit more rain on it, the pitch would have just suited them perfectly. Souness on the ball now made that point to me before the start. Liverpool, a side who put great emphasis on pitch conditions, helps their passing game if the surface is absolutely to their liking. And rush against Wilkins, he beat him. What a good effort from a man who's scored 30 goals this season for Liverpool. The first came on this very pitch in the Charity Shield, and just then he robbed Ray Wilkins when the United captain was caught unawares. It was an instant shot, well delivered, bearing in mind that Bailey was off his line, and that's the first strike of the match for Liverpool. Wilkins will want to control things if he can from that anchor position in his own half and then move on. Arnold Muren linking, and Liverpool are playing a square offside game, and Phil Neal gets the ball. Wilkins was the player caught. Here's Dalglish. Neal has continued his run into the penalty area, but all Dalglish could do was turn a goal kick into a throw-in. But twice now, as Gary Bailey organises his defence, Ray Wilkins has been caught. On that occasion, Phil Neal was the man who stepped in. So early on, United second to the ball on 2 or 3 occasions, but not then. Moses got in quickly, and if Wilkins delays and dwells, Moses will have to nip in there and stifle the Liverpool midfield. That's his job, and Wilkins will need to settle and then start to purvey the ball if United's plan is going to work. Souness, flying header by McQueen. Oh, look at that challenge, Souness and Moses. There was nothing held back there. Souness, who showed in the final a year ago against Tottenham that he was quite prepared to give everything in the tackle, and there was a little bit of dispute about a tangle that day with Tony Galvin, I remember. Well, just then he caught Moses, who also went in with everything, and I think Moses particularly is still feeling the effects of the challenge. 2 hard men. Rush. Nice turn away from Moran and away from Wilkins. McQueen saved United. Koppel. Foul by Whelan. Well, these 2 clubs have met in the First Division twice this season. They've drawn both times, so there's always going to be that close competitive edge to every challenge. McQueen looks for Whiteside. Took it down beautifully, turned away from Hansen. Whiteside! What a fantastic goal by the 17-year-old after 12 minutes play. Norman Whiteside. The ball played forward by Gordon McQueen, and just watch this. Norman Whiteside turns Alan Hansen, and in almost the same movement, having resisted the challenge, drives past Grobbelaar. So much has happened to this lad in 12 months, you start to wonder if it's even better than a schoolboy football story. Manchester United have taken the lead, and a year ago Norman Whiteside hadn't even played in the first team. Since then he's been in a World Cup, and now he opens the scoring at Wembley. Rush. Koppel back doing that defensive job, which is just one of the parts he plays. Whelan. Kennedy. Whelan again. Lee's made a run across the penalty area. Souness has got Neal to his right. Craig Johnston out on the right wing. And Rush is coming in. Bailey didn't make it. Whelan, and he didn't either. A let-off for Gary Bailey. He came out to meet the cross and didn't get it. As he challenged Rush, it dropped for Ronnie Whelan, but he failed to take advantage. Good chance for Liverpool, goes begging. Actually, the Liverpool bench of Bob Paisley, Joe Fagan lighting the cigarette, and Ronnie Moran on the far side. Between them, 103 years of service at Anfield. Stapleton. Koppel Liverpool trying to hold off Hansen, but he lost his footing. Dalglish. And Duxbury caught Dalglish as he released the ball, and it was well spotted by the referee. As the play went on to the far side, Craig Johnson, who would have perhaps received the pass, seems to have taken a knock as well. Lee has got Souness just behind him, and that's Souness. Player who takes a great pride in his own performance, Graham Souness. He was quick to mention to me just before the players got changed that his mistake against Vidzev Lodz, for which he blamed himself totally, was responsible for Liverpool being knocked out of the European Cup. Here's Koppel, offside. Dalglish to Kennedy. Again, 7 red shirts forward. Here's Whelan. Turn it in. Oh, Rush came in near post, and Ray Wilkins made the clearance. But Gary Bailey initially did well to come and meet the challenge of Ian Rush. And Whelan came in this time. The second time, a very good header by Stapleton has cleared United's lines, but not for long. Whelan. And that was a chance perhaps for Johnston to come in on the far post, but Moran saw the danger first. This is a good spell for Liverpool. Looking increasingly dangerous as they force a series of corners. And periods like this often produce a Liverpool goal. 6 minutes to half-time. Lee, Neil. Did that well. Was he taken? No, Stapleton played the ball. George Courtney made the right decision. And there was no protest from Liverpool. It's Lawrenson again. Stapleton. That's got to be a free kick against Phil Neal. The first half has been swift and eventful. Manchester United holding the lead, have a free kick, which Muren will take. Stapleton, and neither Grobbelaar nor the defenders did very much about that. The defenders are asking him why he didn't come, and presumably they've got a point. He thinks that perhaps somebody should have been marking rather better in front of him. But the fact of the matter is, with Stapleton around, if you allow that sort of chance, he's liable to score the second goal. On by Whelan. Duxbury through to Whiteside, Hansen away. Albiston. Whiteside's back heel. Albiston got in well there on Neil, but Wilkins is finding he's getting caught in possession of it. He found Moses in the end. Stapleton sets one up for Muren. It's going to run on. Wilkins, good ball. Koppel. That's where Wilkins can play the ball so well. He sensed that the wide player was there. Delivered it perfectly. Koppel's shot right into Grobbelaar's midriff. Manchester United lead at half-time. A marvellous goal after 12 minutes by the youngest player on the pitch. Norman Whiteside, who a year ago hadn't been heard of in the first team and indeed was battling to get fit, completes a quite amazing 12 months in which he's been to Spain with the Northern Ireland squad, played in the World Cup, and showing no nerves at all. He scored on the turn after 12 minutes, and Liverpool find themselves, as they were against Tottenham in last year's Milk Cup final, a goal down. Liverpool equaling the record of Nottingham Forest, who reached 3 finals in succession in this competition. Forest were winners the first 2 years, once after a replay against Liverpool, and then lost the third one to Wolves. Liverpool have won 2 years running. I wonder if they're going to come back from behind to make it 3 in a row. Or are Manchester United going to repeat their 1977 FA Cup final victory here over Liverpool? All will be revealed in the next 45 minutes, but there could be extra time, remember. Liverpool playing now from the left, having had so much of the play in the first half. Dalglish, Neil. Here's Souness. Lee. Moses in the way, now Murray. Duxbury. Wilkins, they've tried to close him down every time he's got the ball, and it's worked again. Dalglish to Kennedy, Rush is pulling away in the centre. Dalglish wants it pulled back shorter, and it wasn't. At the other end of the field, or of the stadium, a red smoke bomb has gone off, but the attention of Kenny Dalglish there was focused on Alan Kennedy, who might have cut that ball back to him but didn't. Corner to Liverpool. And Bailey comes confidently because there was no challenge. Corners not perhaps Liverpool's forte. Wilkins, Koppel and Duxbury. Koppel on the chase, look at Grobbelaar here. Hasn't been very busy, Bruce Grobbelaar, but the shot that mattered was the one that went past him. And that's a foul with Moran coming in from behind on Dalglish. And George Courtney will want a word about that. Kevin Moran, who's sustained so much injury himself recently. Johnston to Neil. Just checked to play a better ball into Lee. Whelan is the player on the far side. Good chance created by Liverpool. Not the easiest of headers to put away, perhaps. He was stretching a bit, but they certainly found space away from the defenders. Wilkins makes a forward run here for Manchester United. Got back just in time to avoid being offside. Here he is again. Whiteside's in there as well, and onside too is Moses. Can he play the right ball to Stapleton? Not really. It was behind him rather than in front of him, and a good opportunity wasted by Manchester United when Liverpool were a man short. Here's Lee, and here's Johnston. It would be just like Liverpool to punish United for that. Lee again. Whelan to Kennedy. Well, I felt from here that Bailey touched that. I had a feeling he might have got his fingers to it. Lawrence. Well, it's a final this that's always been on the boil. Manchester United haven't had many attacks. But that pattern was set early on when they scored after 12 minutes. It hasn't changed. Liverpool must go on searching for the equaliser whilst not allowing anything to come through the back door, and it might here. Whiteside in the way Lawrenson, otherwise Stapleton would have been there. Lovely play by Lawrenson. Kennedy to Lee. Lawrenson could continue his run here, but that's the final pass which Liverpool normally get right, and today, despite United playing so well, they're getting it wrong. Dalglish hasn't had the best service, but he got in there in front of McQueen and he's put Johnston away. Muren trying to get back goal side, and no power in the shot. There was a real tangle between Dalglish and McQueen just inside the Manchester United half, and my feeling was, although Dalglish got the ball fairly in the referee's opinion, McQueen was injured in the challenge. I think it may be his arm. Orbiston, and just intercepted by Neil, although the linesman had begun to raise his flag. He hasn't this time though. Dalglish, rush to his left, chance for Liverpool, not taken. And not struck very well by the player who normally does so well in those positions. Dalglish made the opportunity, but he's also been unwittingly responsible for an injury which may still affect Manchester United's chances in this match. Gordon McQueen, as Dalglish dived in there to win the ball bravely, McQueen hurt his elbow. Not the sort of player who would go off unless it was absolutely necessary. Popple now involved in the inside left position. Manchester United are having more than one injury concern just for the moment, because Kevin Moran has now gone down. Out of position for the moment then as Liverpool attack. It could be difficult for United as Hansen plays it into Rush. Dalglish is offside, which is a relief to McQueen because Moran wasn't there at all. He's hurt. Ron Atkinson's team still in front, and he's evidently making the most of his day. But how nice to see the relationship there between the two sets of coaches. Ronnie Moran close enough to share a jibe or two in the best possible taste. I don't think Kevin Moran is going to be able to carry on. Hobbling badly. Sakari, who played in that winning final against Liverpool, comes on now. Rush. Oh, Wilkins saw it. And here's Stapleton. Manchester United just for a moment have an extra player in attack, and it's Orbiston. Muren's also well forward, right side coming in from the far side. Good ball in, actually, there wasn't much else on. Wilkins trying to find Macari. Manchester United reluctant to risk too much in searching for a second, because it's so easy to leave yourself a man short, and Liverpool just the side to take advantage of that. Here's Souness. Neil. He hit his hand rather, that wasn't intentional. Wilkins. Johnston. Lee. Again, the outlet is the fullback, Kennedy. It's in! The man who scored in the Milk Cup final 2 years ago, when it was known as the League Cup, against West Ham. The man who scored the winning goal against Real Madrid in Paris in the European Cup final. The ball played to him by Sammy Lee, and Kennedy strikes left foot, going away from Bailey, who might have got his fingers to it, but you can never rule out Liverpool. They've come back with the equaliser. But here's Whiteside. They've come back with the equaliser with 15 minutes to go. Will we now have extra time? Or has Alan Kennedy's goal even set up a Liverpool victory, with United depleted, remember, by the switch in defence? Well, you had the feeling that there must be something on the end of all that Liverpool dominance. minutes of normal time to go. Off goes Craig Johnston, and on comes David Fairclough. Fairclough's last goal for Liverpool was in a Milk Cup tie against Norwich in November. Fairclough up with Bailey. And Norman Whiteside left in space. Kennedy had charged forward. Hansen is having to cover. Koppel is out to the right, and Whiteside takes on Hansen. Good recovery by Kennedy. Whiteside caught him quite badly. That was a nasty one. And Whiteside has now been booked. Manchester United attacks have been sporadic, to say the least, in this second half, and they've got fewer and fewer as their injury toll has mounted. Liverpool's fitness, always something that they're proud of, and it's been proved again. Here's Kennedy, the man who scored. Fairclough. Now Koppel. And Murin. Whiteside trying to make a run and yet trying to avoid being offside. McQueen is over on the far side. This is Koppel. Moses. And Grobbelaar is stretching Whiteside. And the goalkeeper got away with it. He didn't position himself well for the cross. It went beyond him. And Norman Whiteside, with a poor angle to aim at, headed the ball into the side netting. But Manchester United showing reserves of courage here, despite the fact that their team, in composition apart from anything else, is just a shadow of what it might have been, with Macari and Stapleton propping up the defence. Deep into time being added on for stoppages at the end of the 90 minutes. Forward by Souness. Fairclough. Wilkins with a touch. Moses. Trying to avoid the offside. He's onside. Gordon McQueen. Look at Grobbelaar. Goodness me. High drama here. Grobbelaar has brought McQueen crashing down, and he must have been 25 yards out from his goal. The ball was equidistant between them. McQueen stretching, and Grobbelaar, yes, he took him quite deliberately. George Courtney was the referee here when Willie Young brought down Paul Allen in the 1980 final, and Willie Young was just booked, and so too was Grobbelaar there. The goal would have been wide open. And it still could be, because United have the free kick to be taken by Wilkins. A huge talking point there, but it'll be debated later. For the moment, extra time still looms. Wilkins. Oh, he was beaten by Whelan, and Liverpool could make it here. Rush to Whelan, throw him a little bit wide, and that should have been it, and they've made a mess of it. Obviously got an interception in, for which he takes credit, but Rush and Whelan between them, by Liverpool standards, should have done better and sewn the match up. It was 2 against 1, maybe even 3 against 1, and the first ball wasn't good enough in truth. The second was nowhere near it, and the whistle has gone for the end of 90 minutes plus a bit of stoppage time. And Liverpool blew their chance of winning in that period in the very last seconds. The defence was stretched because it's so depleted. Bob Paisley surely has the easier job because his players are all fit. Ron Atkinson has to decide what to do with Gordon McQueen hobbling and whether to leave Macari and Stapleton in the back four. So for the 5th time in the last 3 seasons, counting FA Cup and Milk Cup finals, we have extra time of 15 minutes each way. Manchester United now playing from the left. And just to remind you of the way they're playing, Stapleton at centre-back alongside Duxbury, because Moran is off with an ankle injury, McQueen is hobbling up front, and Lou Macari, the substitute, is playing at right-back. It's the thigh muscle that has given McQueen no chance at all of carrying on in his normal position. He's pulled it and he's just making up the numbers upfield, although he was the player who was clean through when Grobbelaar crashed into it. Here's Kennedy, whose equaliser forced the extra time. Dalglish. Well, football is full of unpredictable occasions, and it's so easy to be wise when you think one team is much fitter than the other, but you've got to fancy Liverpool in extra time. Whiteside. Now Ray Wilkins. Whiteside won't reach that. That's Lawrence's. Liverpool, last season against Tottenham, pulled away in extra time. Will they do so again? Kennedy. Whelan. Souness. Dalglish. Fairclough trying to get a touch on it. Again, Duxbury's was the important interception. Muren's the pass. And Whiteside's the opportunity. If he can check and just play it. But he couldn't. Lawrence beat him. And released. Rush to find Dalglish. Rush to his right. Fairclough in the centre. Kenny Dalglish is right through. Oh, what a good save. Dalglish holds his head. He might have preferred to get it further into the corner, but the goalkeeper got down to his left quickly. So, chance number one in extra time goes to Liverpool, as indeed the last chance of the normal period did, and they haven't taken either. The Milk Cup final in extra time, Liverpool trying to win it for the third year running, and Manchester United having led for so long, playing with only 10.5 men really. Here's Dalglish. Shot struck Macari. Kennedy. Whelan. And again, Whelan's curled it! Brilliant goal! Ronnie Whelan, who got 2 last year against Spurs, has scored the second for Liverpool today. 99 minutes. And Whelan made it look simple. It's the sort of goal that if an overseas player had scored it, we would all have said, well, where's that in the English game? Well, he's an Irishman, but as Gary Bailey took the near post position, Whelan curled that beyond his left arm to put Liverpool in front for the first time in the final. Koppel. So, they've come late again, but that's a good sign from Wilkins that Manchester United are by no means finished. Those Liverpool supporters who've seen their team now in so many matches, proving that you've got to stay the distance. And Kenny Dalglish on this side of the field is absolutely clear. Alan Kennedy on the ball, Dalglish. How well they made the ground up there. Manchester United. That's Macari bumping into Dalglish, but Duxbury was the player who stopped him the first time. Macari contesting the referee's verdict there. Souness. Half-time in extra time. Liverpool 2, Manchester United 1. So, despite that muscular injury, Gordon McQueen is thrust back into the fray by Ron Atkinson. So, 15 minutes now separates Liverpool from their third consecutive success in this competition. But how well Manchester United have done, not just to stay in the fight, but to play controlled football despite their reorganisation. It hasn't just been hit and hope. To Fairclough. Ray Wilkins in front of him. piece of poor judgment by one of the Liverpool fullbacks, Kennedy, that time. Totally misread the bounce, and Manchester United have refused to be shaken out of their stride. But Kennedy has put Fairclough through, and he's onside. Liverpool will look back, I think, when all the ifs and buts are discussed, and feel that they haven't made the most of their chances at times. Bob Paisley might feel they could have wrapped it up at the end of the 90 minutes, and he will certainly feel that Fairclough could have done better in that position. Dalglish, Fairclough in the inside left position, he's right through for the second time, is Fairclough. Good stop by Bailey, Fairclough again, and the goalkeeper twice distinguishes himself. Dalglish releasing Fairclough, who was through for the second time, again not the perfect angle perhaps. Bailey blocking and then diving on the rebound. When a team are as tired as Manchester United, it needs the goalkeeper sometimes to prevent the match going totally beyond their recall, and he certainly did then, and he's given Koppel a chance to search for an equaliser. There's still hope for Manchester United when you think of the way they fought back here against Arsenal in the dying embers of a cup final 4 years ago. Gordon McQueen won't have forgotten that. He scored that day in that comeback. And he's up there again now for the free kick, to be taken by Muren. And there's McQueen. Well, he may be back at centre-half in this second period of extra time. He's still a central figure in this final. The cross by Muren from the free kick, and McQueen fit enough, even at half pace, to jump above the defenders, and the header just over the bar. A very good attempt by United. Shouting orders out, but I can tell you from down there, it's very hard to make yourself heard to the players at Wembley. Stapleton's flick. And a good ball there by Whiteside, trying to find Muren, well cut out by Neal, and Fairclough onside, his third opportunity. And the third time, he's failed. Perhaps Bob Paisley will reflect that had David Fairclough had more first-team football, he would have done better with those chances. But it doesn't matter now, because Liverpool have won the Milk Cup competition for the third year running. Ronnie Whelan is their match winner for the second year running. Alan Kennedy has scored a goal at Wembley in this competition for the second final in 3 years. A brave and valiant effort by Manchester United, whose forces were depleted by injuries to Moran and McQueen. They reorganised, they never gave up the fight, but Liverpool, despite not playing at times to their own high standards, were always fitter and always stronger in extra time. On Milk Cup final day, the losers go up first to receive their medals, and there'll be a tremendous ovation for Manchester United, led by Ray Wilkins. And there'll be a few people wondering what might have happened, with no disrespect to Ray, had Brian Robson been fit to play, and had Gordon McQueen and Kevin Moran stayed the distance. And so Liverpool's acquisition of prizes goes on. And what a good idea to let Bob Paisley, in his last season as manager, on his last visit to Wembley in that capacity, what a nice touch that he should lead the team up. I'm sure the players, among others, insisted upon that. This man has won 19 major prizes, and he finishes up, quite rightly and properly, as a winner. And all Bob will say, I'm sure, is thanks to his players, and the championship is still to come. One of the most emotional moments, surely, in recent Wembley history. Bob Paisley, universally liked throughout the game, takes the cup ahead of his captain, Graham Souness. A marvellous moment, that, and one fully deserving of a club that have always believed in doing the right thing at the right time. Well, he's made a little bit of history there, Bob Paisley. I'm sure the manager has never gone up before ahead of the captain to receive a trophy, but it couldn't happen to a more respected figure in football. And Graham Souness, I'm sure of it, all the other players, as the captain, keen to see Bob Paisley enjoy this moment. Liverpool, winners of this competition, 3 years running. That in itself is a record for a club who go on acquiring one prize after another. Well tested today by Manchester United, but again Liverpool's ability to stay the course is the key factor on the big occasion. One remembers the significance when Bill Shankly, the late Bill Shankly, walked off Wembley for the last time as a manager. And today Bob Paisley, who succeeded him against Bob's better wishes at the time in 1974, today he makes that walk in that capacity for what is almost certainly the last time. Unless they can persuade him to carry on, Bob Paisley is walking out of one of the great arenas of football, which he has done so much to lift with his team's performances and behaviour.
Well, what a game, what drama and emotion, especially for Bob Paisley, Liverpool's manager, who's here with us this afternoon. Welcome, Bob. We'll be talking in a moment and listening to the views of those involved in that sensational 2 hours. Well, before that, let me deal briefly with the biggest talking point of the afternoon, the Grobbelaar-McQueen incident, when a number of hearts stopped beating, perhaps including referee George Courtney. Would Grobbelaar go or not? The victim, Gordon McQueen, had his own idea about it all.
Well, when I was running to it, I seen Bruce coming towards me, and I didn't know whether to just hook it towards the empty net or stick it around one side. And I did, I stuck it around one side, but it was a bit of both. I mean, I sort of threw myself at him and he threw himself at me, so I wouldn't attach any blame to Bruce Grobbelaar there, and I'm glad the referee never sent him off or done anything like that.
Well, that was a most generous view from Gordon McQueen, and some may feel referee George Courtney was equally generous, but he had his wits about him, applied the new law interpretation to the letter, added a dash of opinion, and reached not so much a compromise, but a reasoned conclusion. Hopefully we can get this new camera angle here, which shows quite clearly that Grobbelaar's assault was premeditated. Hence the name take, but the referee's judgment that it was not a clear goal-scoring possibility allowed Grobbelaar to finish the match. Well, I still belong to those who believe that the punishment doesn't fit the crime, but FIFA's seeming determination not to touch a full stop in the laws, however they're abused, will one day be condemned by history. Well, now back to the game itself, and those who wrote their own little bit of history yesterday. First, the goal scorers.
Well, someone chipped it in and I chested it, and I was thinking of playing it down the line, the Frank, I think it was, and then I just turned, and it wasn't on my best foot, so I just concentrated on hitting the target, and then I was quite pleased about that.
The boss before the game had said, you know, test the goalkeeper out, you know, and have a few shots on goal. And first half I had one or two, which one hit the goal, which was, you know, a bit unusual, and one went wide. And then the second half just came to me perfectly, and I just hit it. And I'll be honest, I think it may have taken the deflection, but I think Gary Bailey was a little bit late in seeing it, and you know, just went past him in the far post.
I tried to play it through to someone. I seen someone running through. Tried to put it through Frank Stapleton's legs, but it came back off him, and I just decided to hit it. Well, cut it. I went to it back on it, so I couldn't.
You see, you make it sound very simple, but you just hinted there at what you did. You said you cut it, but you did. I mean, you moved that ball a long way.
Yeah, well, I meant it to go where it went, and it was nice that it did go in.
It's been a difficult season for you, Ronnie, hasn't it, with injuries, and you must have thought there was a time when you weren't even going to see this.
I know, yeah. When I was out of the team, I was out of the team for a good while. I've had 3 or 4 injuries this season. Hopefully now they're all behind me.
You've been at United a short time, really, Ron. It's a disappointment in so much that here you are at Wembley for a first trophy, which hasn't come your way. Of course, there is still a chance. The FA Cup looms.
Yeah, that's for sure. We want to come back here in May and swamp the place.
And do you think that will happen?
I wouldn't bet against it, Bob.
And I remember talking to you just a few weeks ago when I suggested that Liverpool knew that United were getting very close. Do you feel that as a result of this defeat, in that ironic way, that you have learned and that you will perhaps be even closer?
Time will tell that. if we'd have beaten them today, I don't think it would have affected that situation at all. I think there's not too much between the teams. They've got the knowledge at this moment in time of winning games or winning trophies.
And a word about Mr. Robert Paisley.
Aye, it was, you know, if any, you know, the one thing is, if you're going to get beat by anybody, at least, you know, you get beat by him. I mean, he's the man.
I think that one of the things that the whole of Wembley Stadium and probably the nation were fascinated in and appreciated was the gesture of Bob Paisley going up to receive that trophy instead of you. Now, how and why did that come about?
No, it was just spontaneous, really. I mean, I suppose it's fitting, really. I mean, that's all I can say. It was just on the spur of the moment. He's never done that. He missed out, you know, as you know, when he was a player. He played in the semi-final, scored a goal, didn't play in the final. So I think it was his one and only time up the stairs. So it's his last year, his last game at Wembley. So I thought it was right.
It was you that made that decision?
Yeah. Well, you know, I didn't think about it before the game because, you know, you're always thinking, well, we're going to lose, we're going to lose. If we happen to win, and I still remember it at the time, we'll go ahead with it. Unfortunately, you know, it worked out that way for us.
Did it take much persuading?
Not really. I think he was sort of nudging that way anyway. He'll have a go at me for saying that, but I think he was nudging that way anyway. But it doesn't matter who goes up first, does it?
Bob, the truth of the matter, are you going to fine him for that?
No, I'll not fine him, because really I don't think he could have the strength to carry it.
You were the only one left in the party. Yeah.
On the field, I think, what came off the field.
It's not the first time, actually, that Wembley's taken its toll of fitness. Again, yesterday, you seem to be the team lasting out and winning as a result of it.
Yeah, I thought the conditions were very heavy there, very deceptive, and I think you'll find that most of the United injuries was down nearly to cramp and that. And,
yes.
The ground was very heavy, and I think that's in need of surgery. I've been going to Wembley now for the last 9 years regular, but I think now the ground's getting ready for that surgery, which the club ground should have.
Could you advise on that next year, maybe,
yeah,
if you had nothing else to do? Yeah. What's your way of celebrating? I mean, what have you been doing since yesterday afternoon?
I've not been. I went out with a press friend, had a meal last night, and that's all. That quiet dinner, and in the hotel, and never went out. And I like to savour those moments. I like to be sober. I don't like to lose my senses in occasions like that, because same as the European Cup in Rome and that, that was an occasion I had to savour, and I wanted that. I wanted to have all my wits about me.
Judging by the number of times you've been in that position, you're not doing the Brewers much good, are you? Bob, what about the worrying moment, really, in that game where they thought they might have won it? Liverpool had a lot of the ball and couldn't get that equaliser. What did you feel then? Did you panic a little bit or say no?
Well, no, you accepted this part and parcel of football, because just lately, the last month or 3 weeks, things have just gone that we've had possession and just not been able to clinch it. If you like, some term, the run of the ball's not been that way, which was running kind for us at the beginning of the season. Everything was going right for us, and now we've got into that period, you know.
It's turned again, so even Liverpool need the run of the ball. Could I just show you, actually, your record of wins in major competitions? It beats Arkle and Leicester Piggott. I know two of your favourites put together. They're League 5 championships, European Cup 3, Milk Cup 3, UEFA Cup 1, Super Cup 1, Charity Shield will 5.5, 6, and the League Championship will make it 6. If you do retire at the end of the season, would you rather go to Anfield in the morning, or would you rather go somewhere else to enjoy yourself?
I'd go to Anfield again.
Bob, it won't be the same if ever it is without you, and whether it's retirement or what it is, congratulations on today and the wonderful record. And may I say, really, on behalf of all the teams in the First Division, maybe, good luck for the Championship too in your last year.
Thank you. Thank you
very much indeed.